I'm fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Get you. Oh, hey everyone, and welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. I was not listening to that Applebee's song because that song sucks. What doesn't suck? I'm here with Sterling Holmes. My name is Matt Conner. We're ready to talk some deadline action. First of all, though, it's the day after Halloween. How was your holiday, and how much candy do you have left at your house?
So I am basically like every single 1970s ad for what not to do if you're a kid. I'm literally like standing there with a mustache, just sitting, hey kids, want some candy? And they're like, yeah, they do. I only had 11 kids. 11 kids get candy. I have a shit ton of Reese's, Twix. I got candy I like because I'm a smart man. I have so much candy left over. It was fun. I enjoyed making the kids happy. It's fun. They were cute. They're like little Transformers. We had a little Batman, had a little Ghost, had a Spider-Man, a pirate. Oh yeah.
You have an approachable mustache. It's not like you don't look like a creeper with a mustache. Stay away. It's like, hey, that guy's got, I don't know, kind of a Sellecky mustache.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You should feel good about what you're sporting, and then and that's why kids still approached you.
All right, we're gonna get a lot of Chiefs talk in. We're gonna talk a lot of Chiefs. I see everyone commenting. Thank you guys for commenting already. It's hot. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I know some of y'all are hot and bothered. Some of you guys are very excited. No moves were made, but I want to talk about KC Bier Company. KC Bier Company is the best beer you will have. KC Bier Co uses 4 ingredients. KC Bier Co won't let you down. KC Bier Co is always in your corner. What do you want? Do you want a lager? A Hefeweizen? What do you want? Do you want a KC Bier Co light because you're watching your figure? Or do you want a Winterbach because you want something a little different? KC Bier Co, they have you. The German purity laws of 1516. What are you going to do? Drink a Bud Light? No, you're not. You're going to get you some KC Bier Co. KC Bier Co. Fucking try it. It's amazing. It's delicious. We want you to try it. And thank you guys so much for always taking pictures with it and posting. That actually does mean a lot to us. It means a lot to KC Bier Co. But again, I'm not lying. It is like the best beer you will have. KC Bier Co. Go ahead and get some.
Well, that's good. You did good today. So everyone's super fired up. The NFL trade deadline. Let's do a quick review here. 1, the Chiefs made a deal already. It's not that the Chiefs just sat there the whole time. Kadarius Toney, we'll talk about that in a little bit. On the day of, it feels like there's a lot of energy right now in the fan base because everyone probably sat refreshing Twitter all day, despite Elon Musk and whatever he's trying to do to it. Looking for whatever's going on. Like, are the Chiefs making moves? Imagine this. You want your Chiefs to make a move. Then this NFL deadline had more deals than ever. So it's like you see everyone else doing something. And of course that makes you want it. Then the Chiefs don't follow through with anything that they were rumored to. Brian Burns, Josh Allen, Montez Sweat, really anybody at defensive end. Nothing happens. They don't do anything. So then you're let down. And then you're like, wait, there was a deal. And then it's like Rashad Fenton for the sad trombone. And then so there's like all this energy, this pent up energy waiting. Then nothing happens. Then you're like, wait, there's a ray of hope. And then you're like, oh, they traded Rashad Fenton for a compensatory 7th round pick from the Falcons. What's that all about? Sterling, I want to give it to you here. I got a lot of thoughts too. What's your thoughts on the Fenton deal and what this means? Let's talk about the compensation first. Like what does that tell you about Fenton's place here on the roster? Because some people are like, how do you give that up for just a conditional 7th?
Yeah. Fenton's been fine. He was actually very solid last year. I think he's had a good career, especially for a 6th-round draft pick. But he was losing playing time. This season has been a disappointment. I'm sure Fenton would probably say the same thing. I think he was a disappointment from what he did last season. Just not the same production. Not only that, with McDuffie coming back, L'Jarius Sneed playing like an all-pro, Joshua Williams, I think, has fared very, very well. We've seen some improvement there. Jalen Watson has shown he's been able to hold his own. I'm surprised they didn't keep Fenton just as a rotational piece, a veteran depth piece, but he didn't bring much to the table. He's not part of the future plans. They got anything back. They don't need another draft pick, the Chiefs. They don't, unless they're going to package some of these together in the offseason. But if he wasn't going to get any playing time, Fenton, for himself, maybe wanted out. Maybe Fenton goes, if I'm not going to play here, I want to play somewhere. That could be a situation as well. This does not move the needle for me. I have a whole overarching thought to the entire trade deadline. But as far as Rashad Fenton goes, I appreciate his contributions in Kansas City. Hopefully he gets more playing time in Atlanta. The Chiefs, slight head scratcher, but this means they have a lot of faith in the rookies and the young cornerbacks.
Yeah. Just to set the record straight here, it's not just about Fenton and what you get for him, right? You get like $1.4 million in cap room. He's in his most expensive year, and he's playing out his final season. He's gone next year anyway, in free agency. So for the Falcons, it's a half-season rental. It's also a roster spot here on a team that doesn't want to have to lose guys to waivers. Here's a team that's looked very young. Fenton's been out the last couple games anyway, and the leaps made by Joshua Williams. You got a guy like Najee Johnson, who's also on the active roster now. Chris Lamond plays very well on special teams, whether he should be playing or not. And then also they bring up the Caprio Boodle. To me, this means the coaching staff is looking at these young guys going, hey, look, I know Fenton has started even on the boundary for us in the past. He's not better than all the seventh-round guys we've got now, so he's expendable. You can say what you want about, look, Fenton was a locker room favorite. Willie Gay, came out on Instagram saying, no to the deal. And then, he has like championship experience. There's something to be said for those things and whatnot. But this is a team that's rolling with its youth. We knew that all along. What the Chiefs get here, it's not about the seventh round. It's about the roster spot. It's about a little bit more cap room. And then it's about like clearing the space to let the young guys run with things and do what they will.
Well, even for example, I was just going to say really quickly, for example, we're going to see guys get released. Guys who are veterans who want to play somewhere else, who want an opportunity. Sidney Jones, right, from the Seahawks, cornerback, just got released.
Right.
The Chiefs needed money to operate. If they want to bring in one of those guys, Ndamukong Suh, I don't think the Chiefs are getting Ndamukong Suh, but for example, Ndamukong Suh is still out there. They need money if they want to bring someone in. OBJ, he is still out there. If they're going to bring him in, they need money. This is a multifaceted deal, like your observation states. The 1.4 million, that's probably the majority of how the deal was constructed. They don't need Fenton. They save 1.4. They get the roster spot as well. This opens up the opportunity for a potential position of need.
Yeah. You roll with the youngsters, and they will make their mistakes. We've seen Josh Williams make his mistakes. We've seen Jalen Watson make his mistakes. If Najee Johnson, the other seventh-round pick, comes in, he's going to make his mistakes. But you want them to make their mistakes here because think about this. Trent McDuffie's coming back. That means right now in 2022, 23, 24, and maybe even 22. Sterling, you and I could be sitting here in 2025 talking about Jalen Watson, Josh Williams, Trent McDuffie, Najee Johnson still all playing together because the Chiefs went all in on these young guys in their first year, gave them experience to see what they can become. So I like what this does for the long term, and the Chiefs are also signaling, and it's not going to hurt us in the short term, at least that much either.
Can I give some overarching thoughts? I know we might hit on some of the talking points later on, but I just got to get my overarching thoughts out here because I get frustrated when everyone wants these massive deals made. Everyone's like, get Brian Burns, get Josh Allen. It's not that simple. The Chiefs have to have room to operate in the future. It's not a one-year all-in situation. Sure, the Chiefs went. I mean, the Chiefs saw the Rams go all in last year, and it worked. Think about the teams this year that went all in and what they look like. Oh yeah, Broncos fucked for 5+ years with Russell Wilson. Congratulations. The Chargers, they went all in. What's going on now? Nothing. The Raiders went all in. How's that looking for them? A lot of teams go all in, but you have to toe the line of future and winning right now. The Chiefs are the top 3 team in the NFL. Chiefs, Eagles, Bills. Acting like this is panic mode, and if they don't get a top-end edge rusher, the season's over, is absolutely asinine. It makes no sense. Sure, could they have used some help getting after the quarterback? Yes, but it has to make sense. We talked about it. This is a retooling year. Pressing the panic button right now when they're sitting here in very good position makes zero sense. Wouldn't you guys all agree? The defense, the offense, they've gelled quicker with all the youth and new pieces more or quicker than you expected? I think so. This is going to take time. I just don't understand. It's not Madden. Not many trades get made. 10 trades were made today. That's the most that's ever happened on an NFL trade deadline in one day, right?
Yeah.
This is not Major League Baseball. This is not the NBA. You rarely see massive trades being made. Where'd Brian Burns go? Oh, yeah, that's right. He stayed. Where'd Josh Allen go? Oh, yeah, that's right. He stayed. It's not Madden. And I think sometimes video games have taken a negative impact when it comes to teams and what they do at the trade deadline. I had to get off my chest because I get very frustrated when it just seems like everyone wants an all-pro at every single position, give away all your draft picks, go all in this year. Then what happens?
Yeah,
we'll hit on Kadarius Toney later, and there's a very reason why I want to touch on that. But you have to have guys on your roster. You can't just go all in with 53 guys and go, what happens next year?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can. You're called the LA Rams or the New Orleans Saints if you do. And look at where those are. The Rams got their Super Bowl, and then now they're going to get outclassed in their own division and swim for some level of mediocrity in the next couple of years because guys are going to get older. The Chiefs, you brought it up right. The Chiefs are 5-2, comfortable division lead. Everyone refers to the Chiefs and the Bills as the class of the whole AFC. You can include the Eagles in there and you get the whole NFL. So you got an organization that everyone respects saying, look, the Super Bowl belongs to one of these 3 as the clear class of the league. And the Chiefs are doing it while completely undergoing a youth movement on defense that hasn't even added the cornerstone piece from the draft when doing it. So we're going to see Trent McDuffie come back. We're going to see everyone else's assignments ease up in the secondary. We're going to see the young guys continue to develop. And we're going to see the schedule get a lot easier. The Chiefs have already come through the gauntlet. They're coming out of the bye week. Even those games that seemed to loom large, like the Rams and the Bengals, don't loom nearly as large anymore looking at them through the lens of 2022. So, we all would have loved to have seen an addition at one of these key positions like pass rusher. But, you have to trust the fact that the front office looked at the price tag and went, I'm not shopping here. In fact, I don't have to shop here because I can shop at other times. So,
and it takes 2 to tango. Like, seriously, no team's like, oh, yeah, you know what? We didn't get 2 firsts for Brian Burns. Let's send him over to the Chiefs for a 4th.
Right.
Like, Washington's not doing that with Montez Sweat and with Payne. Like, the Jets couldn't move on from Elijah Moore. They couldn't move on from the other young wide receiver they have as well, Denzel Mims. It's hard. Relax. Calm down. You're going to make me have an aneurysm because I get so upset. I got to get off Twitter.
Let's look at who moved today, right? Bradley Chubb gets moved today to the Miami Dolphins. A first-round pick. It cost them, the Dolphins, Chase Edmonds as a running back, a first-round pick, and a fourth-round pick, right? So if you want the Chiefs to trade like a first, a fourth, and like Jet McKinnon or something, right, in exchange for Chubb, He's the guy that then you're going to have to give a long-term deal to. But Chubb only played 4 games in 2019. He only played in 7 last year. The guy had 0 sacks last year, by the way, like 0, not like even 1 in 7 games, but 0. He had 1 game, or he had only 1 in 2019 when he played in 4 games. He's only had 1 season in which he's had double-digit sacks at all. And then now he's in the contract year, and now he's kind of putting it together again with 5.5. It's the kind of numbers that make you go, who wants to do that whole Frank Clark thing over again, which has caused so much Chiefs fans to be like all up in arms in the first place. Do you really want them to have to pay that for a guy like that, or more than that for a guy with a little bit more stability? The cost is just so high. And, teams put that price tag on there, waiting for a desperate GM who wants to save his job in the middle of the season to make that all-in move. Or a team like the Dolphins to make it because they have a quarterback on a rookie deal and they can afford it. So yeah, it's crazy to me how many doubters there are and how many the ship is sinking is going on because the Chiefs just didn't make that deal that they wanted to today.
Yeah. And again, the NFL is just a different beast. Bradley Chubb was one of the biggest names moved. Christian McCaffrey was a massive name moved, and that was for a multitude of reasons. And the majority of people, myself included, think it could have been an overpay just based on the positional value, right? What happened when he moved? Carolina somehow looks better, and the Niners look about the same, right? Because it's Jimmy G at quarterback. Running back is not the most influential position. Let's get into the trade deadline as far as non-Chiefs related before we dive back in just in general. My favorite non-Chiefs trade was TJ Hawkinson. It broke during Stack in the Box. I was doing this with Matt Verderam when this broke, and we were just absolutely shocked. I could not believe the Detroit Lions hit on a young tight end, someone who looks like a building block piece, and they traded him to a divisional foe for a second, third, and then what was it, 2/4 are going back to Minnesota.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
Drop a couple rounds.
And for me, I was telling Verderam, I think Minnesota is legitimate, one of the maybe second best team in the NFC, which just shows how crazy this NFL season has gone. But with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and now TJ Hawkinson, if they get down in a game, I think they can come back. A team like the 49ers, when they get down, good luck. You have all that talent, but it's still Jimmy G throwing that ball. I have more faith in Kirk Cousins, which is a wild statement to make in 2022.
I was just going to ask you, you believe in Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
How much do you believe in Kirk Cousins? Let me ask that way.
Because the NFC is horrific, and basically it's the Eagles and the Cowboys. So outside of those 3 teams, I just don't see how the NFC is very, any good. I mean, we thought Aaron Rodgers, we thought the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, we thought Matt Stafford and the Rams. I mean, Jared Goff's outplayed all 3 of those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a hell of a deal for the Vikings to make, to only have to drop a couple. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. You did leave Dalvin Cook out of that situation too, which is just another dynamic weapon. I mean, they're loaded. That team is loaded. And yeah. Anyway, but we're not here to talk about Vikings. My favorite deal was actually a sneaky one, though. It didn't even occur to me that someone could trade for Calvin Ridley. And the idea that a team like the Jags could make that play for the future, there were all kinds of conditions placed upon that draft pick about like where it goes, if they make it X amount, whatever. That's the kind of deal I would have loved to see. I mean, I would have said yes to that deal for KC or anyone else for that matter, because I think Ridley is a top tier talent. I know he's been gone for a while, but if you're into buy low endeavors like Kadarius Toney, then count me in for Calvin Ridley being on that list. Yeah, I just thought that was a really smart play from an organization like Jacksonville that normally isn't known for those. I mean, it's the same franchise we're ridiculing for Christian Kirk free agency deal. And then now they're doing that. So that was interesting for me. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like that move a lot for Jacksonville, and it makes sense for Atlanta. I don't think that they were going to re-sign Calvin Ridley. So if
Right.
Ridley ends up getting another contract with Jacksonville, it can move up to a potential second-round draft pick. It makes sense for both teams. I wanted to ask you this, though. Would you have made the deal for Calvin Ridley instead of bringing in Kadarius Toney? Because in one aspect, both of these moves, in my opinion, are built for the future. Ridley obviously is not playing this season. When it comes to Kadarius Toney, I don't know how much he's actually going to play for Kansas City as far as his impact. I think the Toney move is a long outlook, right? You can make the same case for Calvin Ridley. The only difference is Ridley has 1 year next year left in his contract. When it comes to this year, all it has is, when it comes to Kadarius Toney, he has 1.5 years, and then he has the option for a 5th year. Which move would you have made if you were Kansas City?
Toney has 2.5 years left. He was a rookie just last year. So we got a lot of control there. To me, I think they're different. Like, it's so different. And we're getting into a little bit of Toney here, which I'm happy to do. But Ridley and Toney are different kinds of receivers, right? I mean, Ridley's going to come down with the contested catch. He's high volume. He's going to be, if the Chiefs didn't have Travis Kelce, if the Chiefs maybe weren't going to extend Juju Smith-Schuster, to me, Ridley's such a natural fit there. I mean, Ridley's much better than Juju, so I would have appreciated that route. That's why I say I would have done that. That said, what's missing right now from the current crop of wide receivers is what we miss seeing when we watch Tyreek in Miami now. The fact that any single play he can take the top off the play and be gone. The fact that he's so dangerous with his he's so fluid in his cuts that it's impossible for a cornerback to stick for any real length of time at all. And so if Toney can stay healthy, if he can fit in that way, I mean, he's way more dangerous than McCole Hardman, and we've seen Hardman become very dangerous over time. So, depending on if they can get him the ball, if they can script him to play, Hardman is a great weapon, and Toney is on another level entirely from that. At the same time, you have to look at his time with the Giants and go, what do you do with that? What do you do with a team that wants to give up so quickly on a first-round endeavor like that? We have some injury issues. We have some attitude issues. We have some work ethic issues. His first regime didn't want him. His second regime didn't even really give him a chance. We're out, So that's a lot of red flags, man. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, a change of scenery. He's here. I'm happy to have him. I want to see him, but that's a lot of question marks.
Let's get into Kadarius Toney in more detail in just 1 second. We did get a super chat from TPT, Chief Football Podcast. Thank you. He says, in my eyes, it's looking like Chiefs are going to go after OBJ or waiting for some guys to get released. And that's what I was basically saying most of today was, especially when Rashad Fenton, when this happened, the 1.4 mil, the restructuring of Travis Kelce. I don't know what's for OBJ, but I do think it's going to be a potential someone when players get released. We saw Sidney Jones, for example, from Seattle. More players will start getting released, getting cut. We'll see some veterans, some guys who have some say, so some older guys who are like, you know what, I want to. Maybe Jerry Hughes, Matt Conner, my pipe dream. But I do think it's potential for someone that the Chiefs will pick up with this cap space.
Let's talk Odell real fast, because I know Matt Verderame even reported earlier this afternoon, maybe just 2 hours ago. He said, "Hey, look, I knew Odell was not going to sign until after the trade deadline. Now that the deadline is done, expect Odell to kind of come into the sights." And he already reported earlier this year the Chiefs are in. They're interested in Odell Beckham Jr. So you have a credible source saying the Chiefs are interested. The Chiefs are the kind of team that Odell would want to join, which is a contender and catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. That much should work out. The Chiefs did clear a little bit more cap space. If you want to draw some of those lines, clearly you can. My question to you is, how excited would you be let me paint this with a like devil's advocate brush. You got a guy who's just on the verge of turning 30, like within days. Okay. Coming up on his second return from ACL injury in the last couple of years. He looked great in those games with the Rams down the stretch, like when it really mattered. Like he was a real key component there not long ago. But given how crowded this room looks, where we're already going, is there really no room for Sky Moore? What's going on here? We just had Kadarius Toney. We didn't do anything with Hardman. You still got MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Travis Kelce. Like, what's Odell doing in that room? It's just like now we're just gathering people just to gather them. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you do with all that?
Yeah, but before Kadarius Toney and that move happened, I thought OBJ was more realistic because then it comes down to, are you releasing Justin Watson? Because I don't think so, because Watson is a valuable special teamer and a guy for the future. I do want to point out Odell Beckham Jr. is just going to probably sign a half year contract just for the rest of the season. Because if he balls out after 2 ACLs, yeah, he's getting a big contract. If you look at the receivers coming on the open market next year, not great. If he balls out, he might be one of the highest paid or highest highly touted wide receivers on the open market. So he's signing for only half a year. Now, if you think that he improves the offense that much more than, say, a Justin Watson does on special teams, right? Just the value, then maybe it makes sense. But the Chiefs, again, they're trying to build for the long haul. This is not a all-in one-year situation. And that's what I'm trying to get people to see. As great as it would be, for the rest of the season. And again, I love Odell Beckham Jr. I am one of his biggest supporters. And if he came to Kansas City, I would be fucking stoked. I'd probably get a jersey. But I just don't see it happening based on the number crunch at wide receiver. Mahomes and Juju, as well as MVS to an extent, are really starting to get on the same page. The Chiefs aren't cutting bait with Sky Moore. They just brought in Kadarius Toney. McCole Hardman is still here. That leaves Justin Watson. They're not keeping 7 wide receivers. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a crowded room. The rumors are really interesting to me. I trust Matt on that. We shall see about what to make there. I want to go back to Toney and talk about that trade. Like when you heard that trade, because you and I haven't talked since then. When you heard that trade, a compensatory third, 6th round for Toney, did you like that deal? Did you like the cost of the deal? Like what were your thoughts? And have those thoughts changed?
They've changed a little bit, and I've talked myself into liking this deal more. And it's not unsurprising, right? When a player comes to your team that you root for, you're going to try and find a way to make the deal seem better. I think that's just human nature. When it first happened, I was a little confused. My first question was, feels like a lot to give up for a guy who's not been very successful in the NFL. He's had one game where he was unreal. I mean, one game against Dallas where he was just absolutely incredible. But the more I've looked at it, the more I think of it as a McCole Hardman safety net. He's going to be the next McCole Hardman. It's going to be McCole Hardman again on a rookie contract. If he turns into something more, you're thrilled. But getting a guy like this for what was given up, it's not a lot to give up for a guy who's going to get you 600 yards a season, a guy you can rely on, a return man. The shiftiness is incredible. It's off the charts. McCole Hardman is probably getting a larger contract than the majority of people in Chiefs Kingdom would like to believe. I mean, the wide receiving market is just going through the roof. I mean, it's wild. So the Chiefs wanted a rookie contract, a controllable guy who they can actually have value with. Juju may be too expensive to bring back. MVS is under contract. That's it. They needed someone. To me, this deal makes a lot more sense when you start looking at it as a future deal instead of as an impact deal for this season.
Sure. Well, how much do you think we see of Toney this year? And let me preface that by saying this. When the Chiefs signed DeAndre Baker at first, and this is a different position, different player, whatever, But when the Chiefs signed DeAndre Baker, cornerback, you know, oh my gosh, former first rounder, he's going to join the roster. It's going to be whatever. Then it was week after week after week after week after week after, I mean, like 8 weeks. And then he plays week 17 and breaks his femur. When Josh Gordon joined the roster last year, it was like waiting. I mean, all these are different players in different instances. But
who told you about Josh Gordon?
You did. It behooved you to say that. In other words, this team has a penchant for bringing in some guys sometimes and then somehow waiting forever to let them hit the field, like they've got to crack the Da Vinci Code in order to like be eligible to play or something. Do you think we see Toney really quickly out of the gate? Do you think they're at least starting to script some things to give him like a handful of play, you know, because a team like the 49ers, they're like, Christian McCaffrey, you're off the – get in here, put on that Smith jersey and go right to work.
A veteran running back is a little different than a very young wide receiver with not a ton of actual NFL experience.
Right.
So I do think it'll take a little bit of time. I don't even know if he returns punts game one. I don't know if it's Hardman. I would be shocked if it's Sky Moore, but I bet someone else is back there returning punts game one. As the season progresses, then we might see Kadarius Toney because what he brings is elite athleticism and shiftiness. You look at some of the routes he can run, you're sitting here going, how does anyone tackle him? Like, it's crazy. So the upside is there. I don't think we'll see a ton of Kadarius Toney this year. I keep going back to it. This feels like a futures move. This feels like we'll get him worked up a little bit. The bye week obviously helps, right? That bye week it's a big boost for him. I just don't think we'll see a ton of Kadarius Toney this season. Again, to me, he feels like McCole Hardman insurance.
Why wouldn't you let him play? I mean, at the very least, I plug him in on punt return right now because there's no route. It's all instinct. It's like catch the ball and then instinctually run. And if there's anything that guy should be able to do, at least like coming in new on a team, I just say, get back there, make sure you catch it, and then just do whatever you want to do with that athleticism of yours. I don't know. I at least let him do that for the duration because any other options we have, it's not working out.
Well, I hope we see him. What I hope happens and what I think happens are two different situations. But yes, I hope we see him as a return man. Basically, I want anyone, though, that can catch the ball back there. I don't give a hoot. I don't give a shit if it's Nick Allegretti. Fair catch it. The offense is too good. Offense is too good to give the other team possessions and take possessions away from Mahomes. Just fair catch it if you have to. I don't care.
Hey, if you've been listening here to the Arrowhead Addict podcast, just want to know we got some great comments coming in, especially from members. And we'll get to some of those in a second because there are some questions I'd love to answer and ask of Sterling. However, it would behoove me to also say that if you have a sunk cost in a membership or would like one and want to hang out, the Arrowhead Addict, if you go to arrowheadaddict.com/memberships, we have 3 levels of memberships. There are all kinds of great things going on. Right now we're doing giveaways. We have a Discord channel where we all hang out and chat during the day. And not just about the Chiefs, although we chat plenty about the Chiefs. But even if you want to talk about music or movies or, I don't know, favorite TV shows, what's going on, it's just a great way to meet other Chiefs fans. Talk to us. We love to get to know you. It's a great way to kind of get in on a little community that's been forming and we love to be a part of it. Also, Matt Verderam makes some extra videos, has some great film content for Ring of Honor members. And so all details can be found www.arrowheadaddict.com/memberships. Hey, just want to go back real fast to something I read. General 51 said, remember, we still have to pay Orlando Brown, Thornhill, and Snead, so all money moves are for next year. Remember, I said it first. All right, you said it first. I just want to point out, it is important to note that it's possible that we could start locking up some guys with extensions. That's Willie Gay Jr., that's L'Jarius Snead, so you're totally right there. At the same time, I think Orlando Brown Jr. is a big question mark that we will continue to talk about well into the future, depending on how he plays, and maybe even if he plays well, it's still a thing. With Thornhill, I guess I saw that and just wanted to address the Chiefs took Brian Cook, safety, out of Cincinnati in the second round this year. To me, that's Thornhill's replacement. I don't think in any way that Thornhill is in the crystal ball for being re-signed. I think they planned a full year in advance on that one. And that's not to say Thornhill's not good or not worth re-signing for someone, but I think they've already said we're going to save money at safety. We're going to do it a year in advance. We're going to find his replacement in the same round he was drafted, and then get the compensatory pick whenever he walks in free agency. So, Sterling, you have any thoughts there?
I would say L'Jarius Sneed first and foremost. That's got to be the priority. I really hope they find a way to bring back L'Jarius Sneed. He is so impactful for this defense. Swiss Army knife, does everything, sure tackler. I really like L'Jarius Sneed. So that's first and foremost. One, Thornhill would come down to contract price and what it would cost. I do think to an extent Brian Cook could be his replacement, but they're slightly different, and the Chiefs love using 3 safeties. Sure. That's a lot of their MO, right? So if you can keep one Thornhill, I don't know what he's gonna cost come offseason time. I don't know. If he's cheap, you bring him back. If not, Brian Cook's there. And then, of course, Orlando Brown Jr., that's the big question mark. I don't know as of now. My personal opinion is no. My personal opinion is use that first rounder. Use a draft pick. Draft a left tackle.
Yeah.
I understand it's difficult to draft a very talented left tackle late in the draft. I know they're going to be gone early. It can happen, though. Orlando Brown Jr. has been average. It's not like we're talking about you need an elite guy at left tackle. But if you find a similar talent around 29, 30, 31, 32 on a rookie contract, allows you to spend money elsewhere, that could definitely be a huge boost for Kansas City. I also did see General 51. That was his question. Said he was from Philly. Go to Big Charlie's Saloon, South Philly. It's a good spot. A lot of Chiefs fans there. Great Chiefs bar in South Philly. Used to go there when I lived there. Highly recommend it.
Love it. Well, let's move through. And I want to talk about did you have any further thoughts on Kadarius Toney, by the way?
I think we hit most of them. Again, I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm very cautious. We've talked about a lot of the optimism as far as the speed, the athleticism, the shiftiness. Part of me is very nervous, though, because a team like the Giants, who are wide receiver needy, letting him go after 1 year when he was drafted in the first round, obviously is going to spring some question marks. Not only one, but now 2 different regimes have had issues. Not saying it's his fault. Not blame us all on Kadarius Toney, but that's going to raise some red flags. I'm cautious. I'm optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, because it's a weird thing because if it was just Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge, you would say, oh,
understood.
Who cares? Forget it. I don't even need to do my homework. Come on in, right? But then Brian Dable and his whole staff, which includes Mike Kafka, by the way, also went, Kadarius Toney, you're not playing here. In fact, they went and drafted their own version in Wandale Robinson, who was available from Western Kentucky or whatever in the second round. So he takes over. That makes Toney redundant, and then now he's traded. So in some ways, you look at the Giants, you're like, man, if you sunk a first and you're willing to ship that out of town that quickly, that sucks. But then at the same time, you have to trust. You think Brett Veach isn't doing his homework? You think he's not making every phone call? You think that they didn't already vet Toney during the draft to know whether they would even be interested in him in the first place? So if they said, yeah, we vetted him, we liked him, clearly they thought he was okay, and then even followed up and thought he was okay even more. So there's a way I can talk myself. I guess what I'm saying is, even as a fan, it's like I can talk myself into and out of concern or into and out of excitement for these kind of things, because you would want to see both sides. And yet who knows what to do with it until it gets there. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Um, well, yeah, I did want to ask. You brought this up already. Wide receiver, is someone out? I mean, are we going to see a surprise cut here, or are the Chiefs going to make a roster move elsewhere to crowd everyone in?
Only if Odell Beckham Jr. gets signed. I think they're going to roll with 6. Reese Fountain, he got his release, so that way he can sign on with another team. They like Justin Watson for special teams, and he's starting to find some sort of rapport in the limited action he's gotten. They're not going to do anything with Sky Moore, second round draft pick. As much as he's struggled on special teams, this was a future guy. This is he fits into the future plans. McCole Hardman, he's still here. He's actually been solid this year, I think, for the most part. I've been pleasantly surprised with McCole Hardman for the most part. MVS and Juju, obviously, and then now you have Kadarius Toney. That's 6. They're not keeping 7. They'll keep these 6, and I'm fairly confident this is the way it goes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm with you. We have a franchise tag. Sterling, I'll let you take this. General 51. Thanks for the super chat, by the way. He wants to know who gets the franchise tag. Do you think Orlando gets it again?
I would say as of now, that would be my bet. That would be my the best bet. Like if you had the place right now, who's getting the franchise tag? I would put it on him. I don't even know who else they'd put it on. Frankly, I don't know. But as of now, I'd say for sure it would be Orlando Brown Jr. Again, that all comes down to if they trust who they get in the draft, if the board falls their way, this, that, and the other. But as of now, I'd say Orlando Brown Jr. will be getting the franchise tag.
Yeah, sounds right on. By the way, a couple of the roster moves that aren't necessarily in our outline, but that people are talking about. Angry Drunken German says, I can't believe they didn't trade or cut Rojo today. Doug in Kansas says, wondering if they are going to release Rojo. I've seen that kind of across the board on socials. Rojo over the weekend, right, says like he wants his release. The grass looks greener on the other side. I mean, do you think the Chiefs eventually give him his way out, or do you think they say, sorry, you signed and you're great security for us and we're keeping you on?
That's what it feels like. I mean, if I were Kansas City and making the moves, I'd probably say and grant him his release. You don't want the headache or at least the baggage that comes with that. And right now, he's not going to be getting any playing time. They have faith in Pacheco and CEH and Jerick McKinnon. I'd be shocked if Rojo was activated at all this season. And then you just have a guy who's irritated. When it comes to signing free agents, sometimes the best move on a guy who's not an impact player is just to grant them the release. That way you have other guys who are in similar situations like, well, they did right by him. They'll do right by me. They did it with Reese Fountain, right? They did it with Rojo. I think you'll get more guys who are like that, who were looking to sign those bubble guys, the insurance guys. Like, well, they did right by these couple guys. They'll do right by me. I do think there's something to that.
Yeah. I like what you're saying about that and what it says about the organization. I do understand if they wanted to play hardball there, not to be jerks about it, but to say, sorry, we got a team to look out for. I'm sorry you're not playing right now, but everyone has to earn their spot. You're not there right now, but we don't want to lose the security you give us. I don't know. I don't know what's up there, but yeah, we do have Wayne Gallman on practice squad, whatever that means. But yeah. Well, let's move forward then, because there's actually a game coming up after not having a game. Identical record. Let me just bring up a few things. Identical record, 5-2, Tennessee Titans, right? And I'll say this because I want to laugh when I think of the Titans being competitive here, because I just watched Malik Willis last weekend. I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, this is going to be funny. Except every time I go to look at the series history between these teams, I mean, the Titans have owned. How many teams can you say have owned the Chiefs even after Patrick Mahomes took over as starter? I mean, what teams can you say that about? How many are there?
Yeah.
3. Mahomes has been the starter for 4 games against the Titans and has won one of them. Like Mahomes has an overly winning record in games he's actively losing in. But when it comes to the Titans, he can't it's crazy. Same thing, and it's not a Mahomes problem. It was a problem when Alex was the guy. It's been a problem over the last they're 4-8 against the Titans since Y2K was a worldwide worry, right? So I'm just asking you, is there a ghost, a curse, a voodoo doll, something? Are you scared at all of the specter of the history here?
I'm not scared, but I do think there is something to having a team's number, because once you beat a team, you almost expect to beat them again. It shows that it doesn't matter how good that team is, but once you beat them once, even if the players are majority different, like Ryan Tannehill, for example, is still there for the past couple of times, right? Yeah. He's like, oh, I've beaten them before. I know he's not starting this game, but my point is, it just shows that he's like, okay, we've done it. Mike Vrabel knows the game plan. It's worked before. Let's see if we can do it again. Buffalo in the regular season against Kansas City. Postseason's a different story.
Yeah.
If I'm scared of the Titans, I would say no, I'm not scared. I don't think they're talented. I am at least a little worried, though, as far as the line's 12.5. 12.5.
That's bananas. I mean, the Titans are 5-2.
I think if Kansas City is rolling on offense, good luck, Tennessee. I mean, it would have to take a situation where they just can't stop Derrick Henry at all on the run. This is Andy Reid off of a bye. This is what Malik Willis at quarterback for the most part. I think that's the initial thought, right? Malik Willis.
I think Tannehill. I think Tannehill will be back. Tannehill missed because he was ill and injured. I think if he's not ill, I think he's in.
I don't think it matters either way. The receivers for Tennessee, they're not great. Tennessee, just if they fall behind, there's no chance they can come back. It's just there's a chance. Very, 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 very slim. So for me, it just comes down to if Kansas City scores first, they get up 14. Feels like ball game.
It does. It feels silly to even be worried about that. I mean, the Titans have some good young players. I mean, on their defense, their pass rush, their front seven, especially is great. They've done a killer job of building that up. And I'll say this, Mike Vrabel is a hell of a coach, right? I mean, that guy year in and year out has the Titans with a winning record. They play tough. They play in a sucky conference. I mean, who wouldn't want to play the Houston Texans twice a year, every year? And then certainly this year, that whole division is like whatever with the Jags and the Colts, whatever. But a Vrabel coach team is a well-coached team. And he's shown up big against the Chiefs. Last year, the Chiefs scored 3 points, and the Titans beat them by a 9 multiple of their own score. It was at Nissan Stadium. So that was pretty much the low point for the Chiefs last year, I think. I mean, losing 27-3 was that's like the Raiders getting shut out like a week ago. I mean, it was that kind of a walloping. So, yeah, I want to feel confident. And at the same time, that ghost, man, that Titans ghost.
It's a situation of we're always just going to sit here and be like the Chiefs are going to dominate based on what we're seeing on paper and what the players are on the field. But then you do take the ghost of the Titans in here. You do take that curse. You do take a situation where the Chiefs sometimes play down to competition. We saw it with the Colts. I think it's just a situation around the NFL in general. Most teams, it seems like, play up or down to competition. I know it's difficult. It's tough to get up against the Titans the same way you get up for the Bills, on Monday night or something like that. It's different. It's a different feeling. You want to say it's the same. It's not. It's why the offensive line played so well against Tampa Bay. They were hyped. They had something to prove. And we've not seen them play like that again, except for maybe was it against the 49ers. It's difficult. If the Chiefs come out like they're supposed to, fired up, After a bye, they should. It's Andy Reid. Should be no issues. But
Yeah.
still a part of me is sitting here going, please don't throw 3 interceptions. Don't fumble 2 punts.
Yeah, I'm with you. Clint McKenzie says we beat the Oilers in 62. We'll beat them again.
Clint McKenzie, you're awesome, man.
Tom Hood says we should win, but that spread is way too much. Totally agree. Yeah, crazy. Cora B says we might see a lot more Leo in this game. Boy, that would be a fun turn if we started to see more of him in the second half of the season. That'd be great. Yeah. Well, folks, Sterling, you have any other Chiefs-related thoughts before we're wrapping things up today, by the way?
Not a ton. Just I kind of want to put into perspective where the Chiefs are one last time. It's easy to lose sight when the Chiefs don't make any major moves at the deadline. It feels like you're sitting here. I've seen people say, Brett Veach, what's he doing? He's sitting on his hands. Think of the long picture here. It's a big picture. It's not one season. We are living in the golden years of Chiefs football. It's not just a one and done situation. If you live in Kansas City, you know about the Kansas City Royals. You know what happened after they went all in, 14-15. That's great. What happened since? You look around the NFL, look at the Rams. They went all in for one season. What happened since? It's not great. The Chiefs are trying to build a long window. They're trying. This is how you do it, by not giving up high draft capital, by not overpaying for players who are going to be here for half a season to one season. The Chiefs are in a phenomenal place. They're a top 3 favorite to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we may look back and go, so glad they didn't give up more assets or take on more salary. The Chiefs should enter next offseason with a lot of room for cap, a lot of draft picks, and a pretty clear board of mistakes, of financial mistakes. In other words, a lack of financial mistakes, to allow them to really begin to make the next series of moves to rebuild, like sort of the 2.0 in the Patrick Mahomes years, after we've been watching these legends play together for a long time. It's time for the must list. Richard, hold on.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't want to
great.
blow everyone's eardrums out, so I lightly tapped. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to blow everyone's just ears.
That is so good. That is so good. Folks, if you're new here, we do a little thing on the end of our Tuesday episodes with myself with Sterling, and we bring in Richard, our producer. By the way, Richard, how are you today?
I'm doing well, guys. Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, love it. Love it. We do a thing called the must list, and Sterling's been wanting to bring in this gong to introduce the must list.
It's a China symbol. I don't own a gong.
Oh,
Semantics.
No, I get it. We do a thing called the must list, and all we really do, we just like recommending things to each other and for you. And sometimes they're silly, sometimes they're serious. Usually it's dated rock in Sterling's instance. But whatever it is, we're here for it. So yeah, Richard, why don't we start with you, my man? Like, what is on your must list for this week?
For this week, okay, I've just binged at least 6 episodes from Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. It is a mouthful, but yeah, I've only watched 6 of them so far. There's been one dud, but I think they've all been pretty good at the end of the day. So I'd highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. You got a lot of good stories. They're all under an hour, so my attention span typically wavers after that. So an hour's noise.
Do you like his other stuff, Guillermo?
Yeah, I gotta love Guillermo. I actually saw. I just watched one of his other movies this month. Kronos. No, I've seen Pan's Labyrinth. I had never seen Kronos, the movie about the little device that turns you into a vampire. Spoiler, I guess, but yeah, it's a vampire movie. That's how they advertise it. But yeah, I love Guillermo. Silly
Richard, that's not what your must list says in the show sheet. Yes, and I know you people listening are very surprised. We actually do have a show sheet. We actually try to be professional here. I know it's very surprising, though.
Yes, I think I wrote down Home Depot theme song, which is also my second list. That song is a banger. Every time I have to do a single task in this home, whether it's unique or intricate, I hum it in my head.
Wait,
Bum,
what's
bum,
it?
bum, 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 bum. Yeah.
Wait, what is it? Do it again.
Dun 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 dun. No,
Keep going. Keep going.
we're not. I'm. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, there we go.
I love
Connor,
it.
no?
I have no idea what that is. No,
That's
somehow I don't
amazing.
know.
Do you think Matt Conner does any home improvements? That guy's not good with his hands. Come
don't
on.
even watch Home
I watch
Improvement.
TV. I hear it on TV. I hear it on the radio. I don't even own a radio.
Matt Conner, what do you have?
Yeah, I'll go and then you can close this out, Sterling. So I went old school. My favorite, I can't, we've done so many must lists, and I've never mentioned my single favorite movie of all time is Heat by Michael Mann, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, Ashley Judd, a ton of great secondary characters. It's this, I mean, I hope everyone here. Have you guys seen Heat?
I love Heat. It's a good film.
Sterling? Oh, it's like epic crime. It's Pacino versus De Niro. It's like epic bank robber crime showdown. It's the most badass film ever made. I love it so much. Yeah.
Do they play Power Station the whole time? Some like it hot and then some sweat when the heat is on.
No. Just get out of here. You're not even fun. Get out of here.
Come on, this is the pun show. I can't do this with Verderam. Verderam will just look at me and be like, "Hey, Copernicus, that was stupid." Like, come on, I have to at least do some puns here.
Verderam, I don't think, does Verderam have a sense of humor, or is it just like various tones of anger?
It's just New York.
The latter.
All right. Mine is Like an Arrow by Blackberry Smoke. Blackberry Smoke is a very, very talented Southern rock band. Like an Arrow, probably my favorite album they have. Just a very fun drinking band. Like if you listen, you put them on, you're like, oh yeah, that's popping a top. You'd love some KC beer and listening to Blackberry Smoke. They're great in concert. Seen them a couple times. My dad actually showed me that. My dad loves Blackberry Smoke. He'll travel like all across the country to see him. But highly recommend them. Check them out if you can.
Put them in the Discord. I want to see
Will
that.
do.
Yeah.
Will do. I like Doug. Says Sterling in that porn stash. Gotta love it.
You do. You have to.
Is it a porn stash? Do you think it's a porn stash? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more Tom Selleck.
I think these days you can have any kind of stash. I think they're pretty. I think porn's pretty amenable to any sort of stash.
Oh, let us know, Matt. Let us know your research. Let us know your findings.
Porn expert here.
No, see, Richard, and see where it says Matt Conner at Matt Conner AA. You know what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Triple X.
Uh-huh. I hear you typing.
There we go.
I'm in it.
OnlyFans, baby.
I'm in it now. This is why everyone should stop listening in the last 5 minutes. What's going on?
All right. Before Matt Conner starts an OnlyFans, this was the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Matt Conner, Richard. He has the best must list by far. By far. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate everyone in the Discord. I appreciate everyone who comments, everyone who reviews us. Hopefully they're 5 stars. But if you don't like us, I get it. I mean, I don't really like us. We're kind of keeping, the lowbrow sense of humor compared to Verderam and Patrick Allen. But no matter what happens, we do appreciate it. KC Bier Co. Honestly, go ahead and try it. It is the best beer you will have. I will be back with Adam Best on Wednesday. Patrick Allen, Matt Verderam on Thursday. We'll be back on Sunday. Until then, we are out.